Hi, Beatle people! How's everybody doing? Well, we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're going to go through my Beatles DVD and Blu-ray collection. Now, as you can see, I've kind of divvied them up here in piles. You've got actual Beatle films, live shows, music video compilations, and documentaries. So I think we're going to start over here in the documentary pile. Over here we have the Beatles' first U.S. visit. This, of course, was originally filmed back in 1964 during the first U.S. visit. What a concept. And so basically this video just kind of goes through the Beatles getting off at JFK, hanging out in their hotel rooms, getting ready for the Ed Sullivan Show, getting ready to go to Washington for their first ever performance, and of course also going to Miami for their second Ed Sullivan Show performance. If you do not have this DVD, I recommend picking it up. There's lots of good little laughs, and I think a lot of this is really where they got the inspiration to do A Hard Day's Night. Next on the block, we have probably one of my favorite documentaries, Good Ol' Frida. For those of you that have not seen this film, Frida Kelly was the Beatles secretary from 1961 to 1972. And just a few years ago, this came out in 2013, she finally decided to tell her story for the sake of her grandchildren. And as you can see, my copy is signed by Frida Kelly. Met her back at Beatle Fest in New York in 2014, and she was just an absolute delight. I love that woman. She's just fantastic. Next up, we have the U.S. versus John Lennon. This is a fabulous documentary. Basically, the title speaks for itself. It is when John Lennon was doing a lot of his peace activism, and he was getting harassed by the Nixon administration, and they actually get, testimonials from people that worked in the Nixon administration and worked for J. Edgar Hoover and said, yeah, we pretty much were keeping a close eye on John Lennon. So he wasn't that crazy after all. Nowhere Boy. Now this is a great little biopic. Now a lot of people do have a problem with this movie because, yes, it is very over-dramatized. Basically, this is an adaptation of John's relationship with, Aunt Mimi, and reestablishing the relationship with his long-lost mother, who wasn't really that long-lost. So it does kind of, like I said, over-dramatize it a little bit, but it's still a great film, and I like to watch it every once in a while. And Aaron Johnson, who plays John Lennon, I don't know if you recognize him, comic book fans, but he also is the guy who plays Kick-Ass in the Kick-Ass movies. Over here you have Magical Mystery Tour Memories. This is an unofficial documentary that's, got some people from the cast of Magical Mystery Tour telling their stories behind the scenes of the filming, and actually I believe Frida Kelly also makes an appearance in this documentary, as well as some other fabulous Beatle people. It's a good film to kind of just, pick up and watch if you're bored. Over here, All Together Now, the Beatles' Cirque du Soleil Love. This is a fantastic documentary, of course, about how George Harrison basically conjured up the idea to have a Beatles show with Cirque du Soleil, and when he passed away, how, the music got together with George and Giles Martin, getting permission from Yoko Ono, and basically just the entire making of the Cirque du Soleil show. If you haven't had the chance to go to Vegas and see it, definitely pick up this documentary. It gives you a great little snippets of the show and kind of gives you a better idea of what it really is. And of course, probably the most recent documentary we have 8 Days a Week, The Touring Years, directed by Ron Howard. For those of you that have not seen this film yet, please do yourself a favor, go and do it. If you don't have the money to buy it, if you have Hulu, watch it on Hulu. If you don't have Hulu, get a free subscription for 30 days just to watch this documentary. It is an absolute pleasure, and Ron Howard did such a beautiful job. I actually drove 4 hours just to go and see this movie when it premiered in theaters for the brief time that it did before it was put out on Blu-ray and DVD, and it was well worth the drive. I was actually really concerned about how they would end the film, because as you could see, it is basically just the touring years, talking about 1962 to 1966. So I'm like, well, how are they going to end this whole thing? Is it just going to end with the story of Candlestick Park? And my friends, I was pleasantly surprised. No spoilers. If you haven't seen this film, just do it. What are you waiting for? George Harrison's Living in the Material World, directed by Martin Scorsese. Of course, this originally aired on HBO as a 2-part series, and then they put it out on DVD, and Olivia Harrison actually made a book out of it. Once again, if you have not seen this, do it. There are so many documentaries about John Lennon, and you really don't have any others about the other 3 Beatles. And I'm so glad that Martin Scorsese took the time to do a George Harrison documentary, because there's so many things about George's life that had never been revealed, really, until this film came out. So if you have not seen it, I'm going to be saying that a lot. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Pick it up. Buy a copy. Look at that beautiful face. And of course, the best for last, the best documentary of all, the Beatles anthology. Since its release in 1995, it has only come out on DVD. It's still not out on Blu-ray. And guys, I will be honest with you, this is my second copy. I played the anthology so much. This is basically what I do on my weekends off, is I will watch the entire thing. The special features are just fantastic. And so this past holiday season, my wife had to get me another copy because the one I had just wouldn't play anymore. Beatles anthology, whether you have it on VHS, DVD, hardcover, softcover, which I have both of. This is something every diehard Beatle fan has to have in their collection. And as we move on, over here is our music video compilation pile. Of course, you have the Beatles 1+, which basically is the 27 number 1 hits and then some. So it's a 2-disc and also CD, which has all of these amazing music videos. I believe there's 50 altogether. So you have the 27 number 1 hits, and then alternate videos and other music videos that the Beatles had come out with. Because if it weren't for the Beatles, we wouldn't have MTV. And right over here, we have the McCartney years. This came out in the early 2000s, and basically just a compilation of Paul McCartney's music videos. Nothing else, really. You've got, a couple of discs, and then Volume 3 has some rock show performances, and from Paul's 1991 Unplugged, and lots of other kinds of bits and pieces, but mostly just music videos. Now over here we get to our live concerts. Over here we have the complete Ed Sullivan shows starring the Beatles, which has all 4 Ed Sullivan show performances. This is a great little DVD, and the best part about it is that it's the full shows. It's not just the Beatles performances, and it also has the original commercials from when they aired. Paul McCartney and Wings rock show speaks for itself. Come Together, A Night of John Lennon's Words and Music. This came out in 2001, was supposed to be a birthday tribute to John, but of course, while they were putting this together, September 11th had happened. And so, if you have not seen this great concert, there's so many awesome performances, including one of my favorites of Sean Lennon performing Julia. Concert for George. Of course, this came out after George Harrison had passed away. If you have not seen it, once again, what are you waiting for? Paul McCartney, The Space Within Us. A great Paul McCartney concert film. Probably one of my favorites. This particular tour is actually where Paul would sing Please Please Me and I'll Get You. And I wish he would do that more often because I would love to hear Paul sing those songs live. Those are some of my favorites. John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band live in Toronto, 1969. Honestly, not one of the greatest performances ever in recorded history, but it's John and I had to have it. Ringo Starr, live with the All-Star Band. Once again, not the greatest DVD in the world, but it was a bargain and I bought it. Paul McCartney at Red Square. Very, very good concert. Of course, this, as you could see, was on A&E when it first premiered, and then they put it out on DVD. And then Paul McCartney's Back in the U.S. This came out back in 2002. I'll be honest, this is probably one of my favorites. When this came out on CD, it was one of the very first Paul McCartney CDs I had ever received. And this DVD really got me into Wings. Alright, and last but not least, we go through the actual Beatle films. Here I have my special edition DVD set of Help. I'll probably do a separate video with an unboxing of this because there's so much cool stuff in there. And also in my special edition 2-disc Blu-ray of Magical Mystery Tour. I also have a DVD copy and a Blu-ray copy of A Hard Day's Night. And last but not least, just kidding. Oh, I have another copy of Magical Mystery Tour. Haha. But of course, my DVD of Yellow Submarine. And there you have it, my friends. My entire collection of Beatles DVDs, documentaries, concerts. And until next time, peace and love. See ya. And before I forget, yes, I did receive my super deluxe copy of Sgt. Pepper. Yay! Okay, bye for real this time.